Midway Broadcasting Corporation, or our participating sponsors.
We are the talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
All right, brothers and sisters, we back. Second hour on WVON 1690, the talk of Chicago. You're listening to Straight Words on WVON. You can support us, brothers and sisters. Go to our website, straightwords.com, and we got all the ways that you can support us financially to keep this show on the air. It's not typical what you would hear on a night like tonight, where everybody's waiting for this fat white man from the North Pole to come and drop some gifts on you. We dropping some knowledge on you and some spiritual jewels on you tonight right here on WVON. And we do this every week, 9 p.m. to midnight. So support us, brothers and sisters. Text us. Brother Naba has the text line pumping tonight, 312-480-9775, 312-480-9775. Brother James G. Muhammad, Brother Naba Muhammad, I'm Brother BJ. And we're ready to get into our next conversation there, Brother Naba.
Yes, sir. We're going to go to Brother Enoch. Brother Enoch, if I could borrow 3 minutes of your time. Just 3. And Brother BJ, because I really want to get into what Brother Enoch, because that's really the subject. So Brother BJ, you can start the clock now. If you could give me 3 minutes, please. Look, brothers and sisters, I want to be very clear. Right? When you speak about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and what he taught, and you try to distinguish him from other teachers, be careful that you are correct in the language that you use. Right? Be clear that you are correct in describing his position. Mm-hmm. Be clear. You really should cite sources like I cite sources to you. But even if you don't do that, if you're going to describe this man or say something about him, make sure you got the actual facts. Don't generalize. And with your language, now you're shading some meaning. That ain't happening here. And it doesn't mean you can't have a different opinion. The last brother that called, he had a different opinion. I didn't cut him off. He stated his opinion. I thanked him, and then I stated my response, right? But I want to go to a couple of things real quick. One, look, I'm going to go to see the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that white people have only been on this planet for 6,000 years. Oh, that's outrageous. Astaghfirullah. Oh. Because, see, we find it hard to believe. We believe that God could touch everybody except us. And we are most in need of God's presence. Show me somebody else in the world, man. And if you do show me, they're going to be black like us. I want to refer you to Science Daily in January 2008, where there was a report on a new research at that time. Blue-eyed humans have a single common ancestor. And they say that there was a mutation now. Check this out. 6,000 years ago to 10,000 years ago that resulted in blue eyes. Where did that come from? See, you want to mock the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but I tell you, more and more will be revealed over time. Oh, he taught about the mother pain and the baby pains. Astaghfirullah. You saying astaghfirullah now that the U.S. government has admitted that these planes exist?
Right. That's right. Go ahead.
They're admitting it now.
Yep.
They're talking about national security concerns. Unidentified flying objects, or UAPs, unidentified anomalous objects, right? Find it. Just Google it. Google Defense Department hearings UFOs. Google Defense Department report UFOs. And if there ain't nothing to it, why don't they just say that? Why are they going into closed sessions? Because they've already existed. They've already admitted these crafts exist. and that they're way beyond the technology of this planet. Way beyond the capacity of this white man. So anyway, that's my 3 minutes. I'm up. And I want to close with this real quick. Brothers and sisters, the point of what we do is not to argue or debate with people. What good does it do us to have debates when our people are dying in the street?
Right.
Children coming up missing. Poverty is rampant. There was a recent report recently about black men continuing to die from certain drugs, starting in the 1970s all the way till now. Mm-hmm. Us killing each other, us slaughtering each other. All the evil that's among us. So I think, brothers and sisters, if we all act on our belief, and show the power of whatever God we believe in based on what we do and our ability to change reality. Because we were taught all things are possible through Christ who strengtheneth you. All things.
Come on. All of
them. That's all. All. And we refer to Allah as all powerful.
Yes.
So we don't want to debate with you, but we will not. And I want to be real clear. You will not call into this program and misrepresent, lie, shade what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad or the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan have said. If you're going to say they said something, make sure it's correct. Let's bring on the real man of the hour, my brother. I'm sorry for taking up your time, Brother Enoch Muhammad. Hip Hop Detoxx. Man, Brother Enoch.
Can you hear me?
Enoch. Speak up a little bit louder, brother. You got a big message we all need to hear tonight.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me better now?
A little better, but let's turn up that volume somewhere, man. I don't want to miss a word.
Okay, how about now?
Saying, brother. Okay, that's a little better, but keep going up while you're talking, Brother Enoch. brother Enoch Muhammad from Hip Hop Detoxx, and well, brother, we put on the flyer. What must we do to save our children? Because inshallah, what we're going to do in the new year, we're going to, hopefully, we want to partner with Brother Enoch in particular with what he's doing. But we want to bring on other people that can talk about the work that they're doing. So hopefully, brothers and sisters, we can join this work. We can support that work. So, Brother Enoch, thank you from your view. And how many years have you been working now?
Well, first of all, thank you for the invitation, first and foremost. And assalamu alaikum to Brother James.
Wa alaikum salam. Yes, sir. Wa alaikum salam, sir.
I have to say that I'm thankful to be one of those who can say, like the old commercials, I'm not only the CEO or president, but I'm also a client. So when it comes to this work, I'm still thankful to be a student, steady learning in the classroom of the Almighty. And when I started the classroom, it wasn't from a lecture per se that started me. What started me was from a book. And that book, written by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, was titled Message to the Black Man.
Message to the Black Man.
And that book stopped me in my tracks to the point where I couldn't put the book down. I was a freshman in a junior college, and that book became my reason for going to school. Because I had to either prove or disprove what it was that I was reading, because I had never encountered that kind of information before in my life. And so I'll preface what I'm about to say in terms of the question, because, you know, when we look at what must we do to save our children, you can't start outside of yourself first. Whenever you're in an airplane and they talk about, you know, different situations that may arise, well, when the oxygen mask falls down, you don't put it on your child first. You have to put it on yourself first.
Right. Yes, sir.
If you put it on yourself first, you gain the ability to pass on to your children or whoever else. And so that oxygen mask, I'm going to start off by saying it begins with in 2024 going into what's called 2025, it really begins with the atonement and the science of it and not just the art of it or the personality of it. Because if you look at that first, second, third, and fourth step of that 8-stage or 8-step process, the 6th step is the key that allows for us to become free, because we can't do the work of re-educating, retraining our children until we get rid of the shame and guilt that we have as adults. So then we can have the ability to forgive self, know that the Most High, Allah, is the oft-returning to mercy and the forgiving. And when we engage in that process, it allows for us to begin to loosen up those knots in our hearts and in our minds, so that we can do the necessary steps to work with our children and to help save our children. So I'm just drawing a straight line, like the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught, draw a straight line to the answer, but then let's come back full circle looking at that first, second, third, and fourth step. The first step, many of us looked at as point out the wrong in other people first. And that is the art of it, but not the science of it. The science of it, Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught self first, then others.
Yes.
So when we apply what he taught, self first, then others, and the first wrong you got to point out is in yourself first, because, you know, we can lie to anybody else, but we know the truth. And so when we point out the wrong in ourselves first, and we acknowledge that wrong within self first, and confess the wrong that we recognize in self first, then it gives us the ability to say, hey, let me get my wrong off the table. No one can say they're 100% right or wrong in any conflict, problem, or issue, so let me deal with me first. What is it that I have not done because of either my being unaware of what to do for myself and for my child? Let me look at me first. And what is it that I have to engage in the salvation process so I can do a better job calling on the Almighty to help me be more involved in that salvation process? And when I do that, then I can begin to have those type of keys that I can communicate to my child, so then my child can see me applying it and demonstrating it, so I'm not telling them to do something that I'm not doing myself. This is the process that we must engage in to detox ourselves.
Go ahead, brother.
Detox means the removal of poison. And at the root of all poisons are lies, half-truths, and myths. And we were born in it. We backstroking in lies. Exactly. But one brother mentioned people, waiting for, midnight to come so then they can see if somebody dressed in red and obese is going to come through a chimney that you don't have because you live in the projects, or you're in a row house, wherever you live in, you don't have no chimney. So we're continuing to perpetuate lies, half-truths, and myths for the sake of we having fun or we're following a tradition. However, the results and the outcomes have been proven over and over again. They really don't benefit us as a people. So we have to detox. We have to remove these half-truths or these lies, outright lies, or these myths. We have to remove them. However, when we start with self first, it allows for us to begin to say to our children, you know what? I was incorrect in doing it. I'm humble enough. I have the humility to communicate with you that, hey, I've made some mistakes, but I'm willing to correct my errors. And if I acknowledge my mistakes and I correct my errors, it allows me now to engage in a science that my children can now follow and learn. Because anytime we deal with science, we're dealing with that which can be replicated and duplicated at no limit of time. So as we do the science on self in this salvation process, it allows for us to now look with a different perspective, a different lens, in an elevated way of how we save our children. Because now we're looking at them as from a holistic perspective. What does my child digest through the eyes, through the ears, and through the stomach? What is it that my child is digesting that may make them more susceptible to death and destruction? Cartoon characters say, I snack on danger and I dine on death. So now there's debates in Congress because our children eat cereal that have 65 different ingredients, and now Kellogg is being attacked because they have Fruit Loops that's sold in the UK that has 5 and 6 ingredients, and they don't use Red 40 in Europe. They don't use Yellow 5. They color their Fruit Loops with beets, and carrots, while we have to deal with carcinogens in the name of dyes because they say the American public, they like stuff that's real bright, and they don't want something that's natural. They want something that looks good, but not good flavor. So we have to now look at holistically. We've been taught a science that went from how to eat to live, how to think, how to define yourself, how to define your enemy, and what your true history is and your true destiny. Those are things that now we have to look at. How do we apply that to ourselves in 2024, and how do we engage our children? If we rethink, reflect, reanalyze, re-examine just the basics of what I just said, looking at what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught, starting just right there. And if you don't know what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught, just start with Message to the Black Man and begin reading that. And then when you begin to listen to his servant, we're blessed to still have him in our midst today. But he has millions of words that he has communicated that you can look at that, listen to that. And when we do these things, it allows for us to engage in the salvation process, starting with ourselves first, and then when it goes to our children. And I'm just talking about in your own home, starting there first, because we know that's going to be the biggest trial in our own homes. When we start there first, it gives us what we need. So as we battle, because it's a fight, it's a war for the mind and the heart of our own children. When we start there first, and it spreads into the institutions, we'll have a better understanding that the children that you meet in the schools or in the group homes or in the juvenile detention center or on the block, you begin to understand that when you communicate with them about the least of the things that you're doing in the salvation process that you're engaged in, the least of what you're doing will be so great for them, because many of them don't even know to look at the things that you look at and take for granted. They don't even know to look at it that way. So let me stop right there and just saying that's the initial process, the initial step.
Wow. Brother Nava, can I jump in real quick? And, brother, I think it was so beautiful what you just said, and you laid it out, because people listening may think you were going to start off with the children first. Right. But you put it back on the adults, because it's us. These are our children. And we are the leaders of our children. Our children don't run us. We run the household. But if we don't have the knowledge of self, and you use the breakdown of the 8 steps of atonement so beautifully, brother, that was beautiful, brother. I just want to let you know that that message that you just brought, we need to carry that in the community, starting tomorrow morning when we wake up, and get the parents on the same page with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the 8 steps of atonement, which is the highest form of conflict resolution that we could practice in our community.
Exactly right. That's right. I agree with you, Brother BJ. I think what he presented, especially with the pointing out to yourself first, was key. But Brother Enoch, I guess a question to just get some more in-depth feedback from you. Okay, if let's just say I'm a single mother, which we have many of them here. We got young boys growing up without fathers in the homes. I'm taking your advice. I'm looking at the 8 steps. I'm starting with myself, and then looking at my children to see how I can best then, process the whole issue. But I'm also battling the social media. I'm battling all these other messages that are coming from other areas, as well as even in the community. Some of the young, the issues with our young people. What's a way that you could advise a mother like that to approach this whole process? Is there anything further you could advise on that?
Yes, sir. I would start off by suggesting look at yourself first from the perspective of how much time do you spend on social media? Some telephones, maybe all telephones these days, they track, or you can set it up in your settings to track how much time you spend looking at social media or streaming. You can look at how much time you spend, because when we correlate the amount of time we spend distracted, because we need stress relievers. And our stress relief might be watching or binge watching some shows on Netflix. It might be watching comedy sitcoms. Well, when we're doing that, and we know we're not doing this with our children, we're doing this in our room or wherever we are by ourselves, consider that your children are more than likely, they're not doing any homework. More than likely, they're not doing too much research. They're either on their video games, they're FaceTiming with their friends, or they're scrolling through TikTok and making TikToks or whatever. So you're going to have to be willing to say, you know what, if I'm doing, let's say that you're one of those parents, you don't really do it too much, and you do it only for maybe 3 hours in a week. You may have to take the next 30 days and say, you know what, I'm going to cut that down to an hour and a half. And the next hour, the other hour and a half, I'm going to intentionally take my teenager or my child, and we're going to watch some things together, whether it's the Animal Channel, Animal Planet, or we're watching some things dealing with life on different levels. But we're going to intentionally watch some things that may be funny, but we're watching it together, so you got to be age appropriate. Or we're going to watch some things that's educational and then have a discussion about those things. And if we're not doing that habitually, I'm going to make a new habit of doing that, because then it allows us to have a discussion on what we just shared together, what we just watched together. So then we could begin building a rapport that we don't have. Many of the children that we work with from third grade and up, we have a survey that many of them do. And the survey, part of the survey, it asks the question, when you have questions about your homework or you're doing some reading assignments or anything at home that's dealing with, schoolwork, who helps you to do it? Do you usually have your mother or your father or somebody in your home once a week that can help out, 3 times a week that can help out? And it's unfortunate, many of them, they put 0. They have no one that helps them out to do their homework. And then you have a small percentage that may say maybe once a week they may have an adult in the house that might help them out. But as they get older, they get less and less support and assistance from their parents. And so many teenagers, they have none. They have no support from any adult inside the home that's helping them out. It could be for a variety of reasons. Maybe the parent is, working a lot and don't really have time because, they don't come home until very late.
Right.
I have a lot of situations where, especially when they get to 8th grade and 9th, 10th grade, it's like, well, you're about to be grown now, so it's on you. Whatever you don't do, that's on you. And and they step back, and they step so far back that they're not checking up on their child just because they've reached the age of 13 and 14 and they feel like they've done their job. But that's a very again, an initial step that parent could make as a father or a mother. Find ways to engage more. You can use the technology, but make it where it's a shared experience and not just them in a corner and you in a corner, and you don't know what they're being fed.
Okay. Yeah, if I can follow up on it, I don't know if Brother Malva has anything, but let's ask, okay, so as you know, in the nation changes people. We can cite examples. You bring a brother in, used to be what you would think was hell on earth, and now he's a reflection, or striving to be a reflection of God. Can you talk about an example of, in your program, you don't have to name a name or anything, but of a person that you have seen a great impact on, and how that person went from being one way and coming out another way through your program, and kind of like the process that you took that person through to bring that person to that next better level. If there's anything like that that comes to mind, if not, but I was just curious about that.
Well, it's quite a few.
Right, I figured that.
Quite a few. There's several brothers. It's different groups. Like you have certain, I'll start off with the brothers and then some of the sisters, but you have some of the young brothers who we may meet them and they may be 7th, 8th grade, and some of them even 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade in that range. And their behavior is, diagnosed as ADD, ADHD, et cetera. They have anger management issues. And so when we get them in our group sessions, we always start off the young people looking at their value in a different way, because most of them, they already have been beaten down, even 3rd, 4th grade. They've already been beaten down with how bad they are or how no good they are. So they already have that thought in their head based upon teachers or social workers or parents or family members, et cetera. So when we first meet the young people, we let them know from the beginning. We may not know yet your first name or your last name. However, what we do know about you in our initial meeting is that we know you're great. We know that off top. We're not relying on some documentation in the folder to represent you in the fullness of who you are and what you have the potential to be. And so some of the young people, they come with these diagnoses of them not being able to focus. And so we build them up in terms of how they can discipline themselves and gain access to exercise their power, where their minds can tell their bodies what to do. So we give them a series of challenges and opportunities to see themselves in a different way, where they increase the knowledge of themselves, starting off with how they view themselves and giving them an understanding that other people view you in a different way. And when we engage in these kind of activities, initially, it begins to open them up for them to see their options and their opportunities in a way that they previously have never seen it. So we have some that, used to fight a lot. And so we bring in different activities, whether it's martial arts, boxing, or just different things that would help them in terms of, first of all, we know a lot of young people, as it's communicated broadly, they deal with trauma and they've had adverse childhood experiences. However, being able to work those things out in a physical way as well as a mental way, those are key elements, along with helping them to choose healthier foods to eat, so then you can affect them again holistically. So we've had young people who they've gone through our program from elementary school through high school, and so now they're out of high school. Some of them are college students, or some of them have graduated from college, and some of them just decided to go to work because they didn't want to go to college, and some of them picked up trades. Some of them have gotten CDL licenses, and now they drive trucks. But the groups that have communicated with us how what they experienced affected them, all of them say similar things from the perspective of, you got me to see myself in ways that I didn't even think was even possible because of how I viewed myself in such a negative way. And because I changed the way I viewed myself, it changed the way I communicate with other people. And so some of the young people that we're currently working with now that are either, 3rd grade up through high school, they have goals that we begin to discuss with them, and they have different ideas about what they would want to do. However, they don't understand sometimes the process by which to get to where they want to go. So then when we assist them in different ways, whether it's connecting them to a variety of networks and partners that we have, or men and women that say, hey, I want to help young people, and they just need an entry point to helping young people, because it's one thing to say you want to help them, but not recognize that they have to be able to receive what it is that you're offering. And when you come into a classroom or a setting and you think you're talking to, little Denzel right there, but you're really talking to little Uzi, or you think you're talking to, you think you're talking to Sean, but you're really talking to Glorilla, because they're taking on different personas, and they're taking on, different personalities that's not really them, but they really don't know who they are. So you can try to get them, to learn STEAM, different type of scientific principles. You want to teach, want them to learn how to pilot drones. You want them to learn how to fix computers, whatever it is. And those are great things. However, you have to have a functioning student in front of you, or one that's in the process of applying what it means to be a student. You have to have that in front of you in order to be able to transfer that information. And a lot of times, people don't have that, and they get frustrated. And so we've been blessed to be able to work with young people. Those that we've had in programs for at least 8 weeks, we work with them to produce those kind of results. So then when we, come back and talk with them, and a lot of young people, we have them, follow up with us, whether it's by phone, because they have our phone numbers, or through social media. They let us know that, hey, you know what, I'm so happy that I was able to kind of see through what I was going through. So then I stopped doing those things that some of my friends, who weren't part of the program, they didn't stop doing it. So now I see them locked up, or I see them shot up. And I'm so happy that I habits in my pattern. So, so for some of those that we've been blessed to really impact, we've seen them get into a variety of industries. Some of them graduated, and we've had one that became a lawyer because he went to school out there in California, and I actually went to his graduation out there because he determined that that's what he wanted to do, and he saw it all the way through. So we have different examples of young people, and that's men and women that we've worked with since 2002 that we've been blessed to have an impact on, and we look forward to getting them more involved in what's coming up. Because not only this year we have the 30-year anniversary of the Million Man March coming up, which we look to get them more involved in helping out to plan and execute that. But in 2026, that will be the 20-year anniversary of Hip Hop Detoxx, because we started off in January of 2006 doing Hip Hop Detoxx, or doing our work under the name Hip Hop Detoxx. And so in January of 2026, that will be our 20-year anniversary. So we look forward to ways to bring back these young people so that they can tell their stories and share their journey over these past really 20-plus years.
Hey, brother Enoch, I want to back up a minute, because I want to get to what you're talking about, because I want you to have the time to talk about that, and hopefully our listeners can have the opportunity to take responsibility for helping us, helping you, helping our community move forward. Take about 5 minutes, because we got about 13 left. Can you take about 5 minutes? Well, if you can do it in less than that, that's fine. But talk about Hip Hop Detoxx, what it is, and what it does with our young people.
Okay, yes, sir. Well, Hip Hop Detoxx is a process that has evolved into a program, and now a 501c3 public health organization that has a variety of programs that's geared to help maximize critical thinking and conscious listening and healthy lifestyle choices, and minimize those behaviors and those thought processes that lead young people into incarceration in the early grades. And so our work has evolved from our initially starting off in 2002. We had a program called Operation Cultivation, and we just came out of our pockets just to do that program, because working in Chicago public schools, we saw that the reading, writing, and arithmetic, even though we need to help our young people to be literate, we have to have young people to work with and be functional to be able to receive what it is that we're trying to teach them in the school system. So we began doing programs in 2002 before the name Hip Hop Detoxx came into existence, where we focused on conflict resolution. We focused on cultural arts, physical and mental wellness, and entrepreneurship. Those are the first 4 elements of our program, which was a summer program where we had young people over a 7-week period of time in the summer of 2002, and we met about 4 to 5 days a week. And it was from 10 a.m. to about 3 p.m., I think, was the time frame that we met. And a lot of times we went over that time because just the nature of doing programs that have a penetrating effect when it comes to our young people. So our desire to expand the work made it where instead of just doing summer programs, we evolved it to job training program. The next year, we started working with the Temple of Mercy over there on 79th and Halsted. That next year, where we did a job training program with Inglewood High School students. And again, the process continued. We started doing Stop the Killing Youth rallies on the anniversary of the Million Man March in 2002 and 2003. And so we just kept on expanding until after we attended the Million More movement in 2005, we determined with the 3 busloads of people that we were blessed to take and coordinate to go to the Millions More movement, we came back and it was instructed, determine what work you want to do to help your people. And so after we all discussed it at Carter G. Woodson Library, that I think it was November or December of 2005, we determined we work with young people, and that would be our collective focus. And so in 2006, Hip Hop Detoxx was born. And so in that history and in the work from 2006 to this time period, we've evolved the work to include everything from social-emotional learning programs, youth empowerment sessions, co-ed activities and programs, as well as those that are gender-specific in terms of, for the boys, Males to Men program, for the girls, the Rhinestones to Diamonds. We began to see that we needed to have a holistic effect to be able to help our people to evolve more and more into being able to help themselves and their children and help their clients and their students. So we began doing professional development work with the staff of various institutions so that they could learn what it was that we were doing in a direct service way with the young people, so then they can continue it when we weren't in those institutions. And then we began working with the parents because we saw that it wasn't just the children that needed social-emotional learning work and restorative practice work, but the parents needed it also because all the adults was experiencing the need to be rejuvenated because the burnout was real. And that was before COVID and the shutdown. We had a whole bunch of just adults that was just being drained because they were at their wits' ends trying to find ways to help either their child or help their student grow and prosper. And so with the current work that we're doing, we added on doing the Males to Men empowerment and mentoring seminars due to the work we did with Steve Harvey's camp for about 4 or 5 years and being a partner with Steve Harvey, and then also offering services to our brother Enoch Muhammad, who would do the Boys to Men conference, and we would always bring Hip Hop Detoxx to be able to assist in that. We began seeing that we needed to find a way to work with our young people in a way and expand the work so that way we can get more, not only men and women, but get more organizations, get more institutions involved in it so we could rise up in the work in such a way that it would give opportunities for follow-up and follow-through so this could be a year-round effort and not just something we do for an event. And so today, that's where we are. We're at that point where we have to focus in on what it is that the Men's More movement offered and the Million Man March in terms of that organizing effort that takes the best of what we all have, but synergize it so then we can develop our people on a continuum and not just stop, start, and then each generation has to start all over again because there was no continuity in our salvation process that we're really doing to affect the spirit, mind, emotion, and body of our people. And so that's where we are today in the work that we're doing.
Brother Enoch, you mentioned, and I'm watching the clock. You mentioned, you and I talked about major things you're working on for 2025. Can you take about 5 minutes to talk about that? Then I want you to take 2 minutes letting people know how they can get involved.
Okay, yes, sir. This year we did the second annual Males to Men seminar. It was held at Chicago State University. We had over 240 young people coming from 8 different schools. And so the year prior, we were at the Let's Eat to Live Salam Wellness Community Center off 67th Street, 67th Champlain. And we put tents up in the back area. We had over 100, I think, and 15 young people to attend that seminar. And we had a variety of organizations and groups of men that participated in the first one and in the second one. And so now we are looking at the 30-year anniversary of the Million Man March and all that entails. And we want to revive the idea and the ideals of the Million Man March from the perspective that our need is so great that in 1995, it was made clear that no school, no work, no play is due to those of us who see the value of us making an atonement to our Creator and to one another, so that we would have the love and the force and the power with ourselves to be able to make change in ourselves, in our homes, and where we live, so we can produce communities. Because right now we don't have functioning communities. We have trauma centers. And that's why it's so difficult for us to have the impact on a consistent basis, because we treat our trauma centers like they're functioning communities, and they're not. Therefore, we have false expectations which appear real. And that's the essence of the fear that's going on amongst us, is that we are not looking at the fact that the Million Man March, the Millions More movement, all the things that transpired from that, well, that was the first time that a powerful ecumenical demonstration was made, where all of us had an opportunity to work together, to learn one another, and to see ourselves in such a way. It was like a glance of heaven, as it was communicated on the cover of the Final Call newspaper. It was a glance of at heaven, seeing us in that way, because the Spirit of the Almighty was in the mix. So right now, we have to take those principles and those ideas and those ideals and utilize everything so that we can produce this effect in a strategic way for not only operational unity, but for us to be able to have the sustainability, because we have not only everything we need, we have the ability to connect with each other and not only speak straight words, but have straight actions behind those straight words, so then we can keep going what it is that we see as so valuable. So October 16th of 2025, we can now pull on what the mayor at the time, Mayor Daley, he signed the proclamation that 2 aldermen put in front of City Council that communicated the Holy Day of Atonement as a divinity day, and that every year on October 16th would be looked upon in that way. Well, that means that you have a right as a worker at a particular job or as a student at a particular school to take off for your divinity day or your holy day and not worry about being fired or being reprimanded because you're taking off for your holy day or your divinity day. We have an opportunity to utilize the time we have leading up to October 16th to strategize, to organize, to produce those sustainable activities that leading up to October 16th and far beyond October 16th, we all can engage in so that we can have a socioeconomic, psychosocial, political impact that will affect us holistically way beyond October 16, 2025. But we have to do that now. So we're looking for men and women who want to help in the organizing effort, help in the implementation effort, want to be part of teams. Together, everyone achieves more. What can we do together so that we can make these impacts, so that we can have thousands of young people impacted between now, October 16th, and beyond, but understand that we can't just impact them. We have to impact their families, those that they live with, those that are their caretakers, their legal guardians. We have to have an impact on them, and we have to have an impact on those who work with them in the various institutions, whether it's the group homes, whether it's juvenile detention centers, whether it's in the home in general. We have to have a way to make that impact sustainable. And so we're asking those to please don't just say you want to do something. You can either communicate directly, 773-563-4315. That's 773-563-4315. Text your number. Text your email, rather. Text your name. Say, look, I want to help, and I have an idea of what I would like to do to help, but let me know, what you think it can be done. Because we have a variety of teams that we really need to put the information in front of people to say, hey, if you want to help, we know right now we got 5 teams that we're looking for people to join in on, because you got to have the ability to market. You got to have the ability to fundraise for this. You got to have the ability to have those who want to do direct service, or those who may want to help with the professional development, or those who may have services themselves that can help young people out and their parents, and those who work with young people who feel burnt out. So we're looking for those who want to step up and say, hey, you want to do the work? We have some work for you to do. And again, this is not just for an event. This is for an entire process that moves way beyond just the date of October 16th. It goes beyond that, because we want to continue to make October 16th an experience that every person, regardless of their philosophical or ideological differences, they can see that this is an opportunity for us to reconnect and come closer to our Lord, our source. Regardless of land, label, or language, this is one creator. So we're not going to let religion divide us or ideologies. We want to be able to say, hey, we have to begin to learn how to love ourselves, and you can't love somebody else before you love yourself. So that's why we want to use October 16th in that way, so that we can continue a year-round process and have everybody involved in it. So I'll stop right there so you can ask whatever other question you may have.
I'm gonna give you 30 seconds, brother Enoch, and we'll have to have you come back. But 30 seconds again. How can people contact you? How can they help? I really want to try to drive people to get involved. I'm hoping that we will be involved with this process with you as well. So in 30 seconds, again, repeat that number and maybe a little about the 5 groups, and let's encourage people to get involved now.
Yes, sir. The number is 773-563-4315. Once again, that's 773-563-4315. Please text that number. All you got to do is put your name and your email address, and we'll send you updates, because we have virtual Zoom calls on Sundays, and we also have scheduled some in-person meetings that you'll be able to attend. Secondly, when it comes to the critical areas that we're looking for engagement, we're looking for those who want to be part of the strategic marketing team, the logistics team, and we're looking for those who want to engage in direct services that can help young people directly, but then direct services also that can help the adults, because we know that we can't just do one side of the equation and not do the other. Lastly, and just lastly, with Brother Naba and Brother James and Brother BJ, we want to have people to help to keep this radio station going, this radio program going. So please make sure that you give what you can to keep the program going. And we're going to look to make sure that in the partnership between Hip Hop Detoxx and Straight Words, that we bring the youth, because I know Brother Knob has been saying he want to, have Brother Devin to come back and others. We want to bring a team of youth that'll be able to work with you, so then they can be engaged with you during the show. All right, Brother Enoch. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. You're listening to Straight Words. This is WVON AM 1690. Stay tuned.
Hey WVON family, it's your girl Para B from the Production and Programming Department, wishing you and your family a happy holiday season.
The talk of Chicago and the voice of the nation is 1690 WVON, Berwyn, Chicago.
I'm Vanessa Tyler.
And I'm Mike Stevens, on your home for 24/7 News, Black Information Network.
A party